Hello, everybody. Josh Neighbors here, Locked On Big 12 podcast. Today, it is December 5th, 2021. It is Sunday, and it is time for some reactions to the college football playoff Final Four being announced. We'll also have a video breaking down the Big 12 championship game yesterday. That will be coming up. But with the Final Four being announced, we're going to have a video discussing that and also have a video discussing the Big 12 championship game. On the audio side, I will just mesh the two together. So it'll be one podcast in your all's podcast feeds, but we'll do the videos separate just to kind of break it up a little bit here. Today's show is brought to you all by Sonos. Before we get going, perfect holiday gift. Go check out Sonos right now. I've got a sound speaker in my house. It is fantastic. So Sonos, great holiday gifts. Go check them out today. All right, let's talk about the Final Four for the college football playoff.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, let's get into it here. Josh Neighbors, Locked On Big 12 podcast. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at LO Big 12. You can follow me at Josh Neighbors _ as well. New mic, check it out. Hopefully it'll bring a bit more sound quality to the show. Not going to fully retire the Yeti mic. There will be some times where we need it, but new mic, new rig, new college football playoff entrants. There are two of them, so let's get to it right now. Here is your Final Four for the college football playoff. This is a screen grab I found from Twitter because they've not put up the official bracket yet. So shout out to PFF College Football for putting this up. But here is your Final Four. It is Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, and Cincinnati in that order. So Alabama is their 1 seed, Michigan your 2, Georgia your 3, and Cincy your 4. We also know the matchups. Obviously, we know the matchups. We know where they're going to be. It is going to be the Orange Bowl for the 2 and the 3 seeds, Michigan and Georgia. It is going to be the in Arlington, Texas, for the 1 versus 4 matchup, the Cotton Bowl. It is going to be Alabama against Cincinnati. So obviously, this Final Four, my initial thoughts are this is the correct 4, right? And we had discussed, hey, I felt like there was a good chance that a Big 12 team could find their way in. Well, that was going to be contingent on chalk holding. And we saw yesterday what happened when Georgia met Alabama. It was 10-0. You know, I'm kind of roll a little bit through here how we got to this 4, but it was 10-0 in that game, and it kind of felt pretty good. And then Bryce Young came alive, made some plays. Jamison Williams on a field full, and I've heard this a bunch, but it's so true, on a field full of future NFL players, was the fastest, and he was fantastic. It was awful to see what happened to John Mechie, but I think, and I was watching this game with my dad, we went to the ACC championship in Charlotte. He is a Wake Forest alum, so great opportunity to go see that. But the thing was, Alabama, they didn't have much success running the football, especially early in the game. They didn't have much success running the football. But in pass protection, they were really strong. And it's my belief, I think, that they got a you-know-what torn in, basically, the coaching shredded them to pieces. I mean, after that performance against Auburn's defensive front, which we know Auburn, while they've had great fronts in the past, this front, not very impressive this season. To see Georgia, struggle to get to the quarterback. And Alabama, they're picking up blitzes. The running backs did a great job, I thought, in pass pro. And, Georgia tried to get home with 4 in the beginning. Kirby Smart said that at halftime. We're not able to do it. And Bryce Young made some spectacular plays. Obviously, that shovel pass was a huge, lateral, you could call it whatever it was, when he was running downfield and flipped it, right near the line of scrimmage to get a first down. Had a throw falling over that was impeccable. And this guy is just cool as a cucumber. The crazy part to me is, and he should not have seen the field last year, but he wasn't on the field because the guy they had was so damn good. And we're seeing Mac Jones now, obviously in the NFL with the New England Patriots, doing an excellent job. I'm never the biggest Mac Jones guy. I mean, I think it's pretty clear Bryce Young has got way, way more ability. He is a singular type. I mean, you think about a guy talented like that. like he is pretty unique, I would say. I can't think of and pretty unique's the wrong term, but unique. I can't think of a good quarterback comparison because the guy just, we haven't seen a player that's overcome a lot of offensive problems at like 19 years old to take a team this far against that kind of a defense. Maybe in terms of a player, there is somebody out there that you all can think of, I guess in a sense, Kyler Murray, but Kyler's a bit more smooth of an operator, better runner, right? But Bryce Young is just has this ability sometimes just to deliver darts all over the place. I mean, absolutely on the money, all over the place, time after time after time in tough situations. And I know he's not been locked in all the time for every single game this season, but he is one of those special players. And I know the Heisman was up for debate this year, but if you look at the numbers for Bryce Young, they were pretty spectacular going into this game. And coming out 26-44 for 421 and 3 touchdowns, setting an SEC record, I believe. But 43 touchdowns in the air, only 4 interceptions on the season as well. And he's also run for 3 touchdowns. Not a great runner, but has been effective at times as well. Approaching a 68% career passer rating. He's approaching 68 for a career. He was 68 this season. Average completion about 9.4 yards, 43 touchdowns this year, and he was sacked 33 times. They did not do a great job all year blocking for him. And I think that at 19, being able to come up with those kinds of plays against that defense, credit the offensive line as well. But there were some times where Georgia could have gotten off the field, and Bryce Young did not allow it to happen. So Alabama deserving of the number 1 spot, I believe. But yeah, that was a surprising outcome yesterday. And a lot of people asked this question throughout the season, right? What would happen with Georgia at quarterback if there was a situation where they had to come from behind and Stetson Bennett was the one that had to take them back from behind because he's really good at managing games. Now, was it totally his fault? No, their defense got shredded in a way that we had not seen. But there were situations where they were driving down the field where they could have gotten back into the football game and they were not able to. And he made some mistakes. And you wonder, look, I know he has got he's been more durable, I guess you could say, than JT Daniels. JT Daniels has not played a ton, but he's also somebody that really, we know he's talented, but hasn't been there enough. And Stetson Bennett's been available and he's been effective, right? Coming into this game, he had thrown 10 passes total, though, in all 4th quarters this year. He'd only thrown 10 passes. That's the issue to me, is that they were never pressed to a point in the passing game or in any game at all. They were never pressed to have to make throws, make big plays in 4th quarters in certain games. The Clemson game was close, but I mean, it's a long time ago. It was the first game of the season, right? And so since that point, there's really, as this team was coalescing, they were never really pressed into action. So I think they stick with Stetson. I believe that, but we'll see. I mean, they got to have JT Daniels at the ready, in my opinion. And then I'm curious now, as they're at 3. So they're sitting there at 3. Let's see how they regroup next game. All right, Michigan goes to number 2, and I think I didn't watch enough of Michigan this year. I watched a few games, obviously with all the Big 12 that I watch. Not always able to catch those games. I did see a lot of their game against Ohio State. I did see most of their game against Nebraska. I did see most of their game. Was not able to catch this one. Most of their game against Michigan State. So I've caught a little bit of them, just enough to know about the team. Obviously, covering the sport for Sirius XM, I know enough about Michigan. This team is one of those that is rounding into form as the season goes along. They had that nice win against Penn State, let's go after the Michigan State loss. Blow a 16-point lead in that game. Indiana, 29-7 win. Indiana's not very good. Took care of them, though. Penn State, 21-17 on the road. Able to win that game. And that one was not as close as a score felt. Maryland, on the road, 59-18. I know Maryland's not a great team, but 59-18, pretty darn good. 42-27 against Ohio State. Obviously, a fantastic result for them. And then I kept saying this, but any team that they were going to play out of the Big Ten West was just a worse version of Michigan. Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota. All those teams are just not as effective versions as Michigan is. And Michigan, their ace in the hole is the fact that their pass rush is absolutely disgusting. It's coming from both sides with Njabo and with Aiden Hutchinson. So they've got that for them. It's a well-rounded defense. Ross and Gray and Hawkins. I mean, they complement Njabo and Hutchinson really well, and they do a great job. And obviously, their rushing game has been spectacular this season too. They've gotten so much out of Corum and Haskins. And those two guys did a good job totaling for 3 touchdowns yesterday. Tougher day for Haskins, but Corum had a really nice day and a pretty short work as well. And Cade McNamara just does enough a lot of the time to make enough plays. And JJ McCarthy as well. He's had his moments along this season too. And they had an argument, I think, to be the best team in the country. I would just say this does feel more open. I know Alabama showed up for one game, and I think they'll keep showing up to continue. But there should be, there are questions asked about like all 4 of these teams. I know people don't think Cincinnati as much, but have a case to win it. And Michigan's making a strong case because they're playing the best football in totality over the course of last month. They are the team, and the term team makes the most sense here for them. They're the best team all around. They might not have the best players, might not have the most talented players, might not have those different playmakers like a Bryce Young and a Will Anderson, right? Hutchinson and Hutchinson and Njabo are playmakers too, but like Bryce Young, I think is the number one player. If we're doing a draft of guys in the college football playoff, your number one pick is probably, it's probably going to be Bryce Young. But still, in offense, they don't have those kinds of playmakers either. But they have enough right now, and it might be enough with the way they've been able to control games recently. And then we get to number 4 team. That is going to be Cincinnati, and so Cincinnati is going to play Alabama. Which makes it, it's a very exciting opportunity for them. That is David versus Goliath. But here's the thing. Cincinnati took care of business yesterday against Houston in a really impressive way. It was close back and forth at the beginning. They then settled down just a little bit, and they were able to get into the rhythm. And I think this is really important to note this. I don't think people talk about this enough. They had to go 12-1 last year, and they got some respect. Then they had to go 13-0 this year. They basically had to go 25-1 to get the 4 seed this year. They came up short from the playoff rankings. Was it 13-1 last year? They ended up going. Let's see. They had the 12, won the championship, so they were 13-0, and then 13-1. So basically, they had to go 26-1 in these last 2 seasons to get to this point. Like they had to run the table. I forget what the record was last year, but you understand what I'm saying. Basically, they had to win 20 plus games and only have 1 loss to get to this point right now where they are at. And that is really impressive because, not all G5 teams get the respect. They had to earn the respect last year, so they were then considered this good, that good this year. If it was just a 1-year isolated incident, they would not have come close to getting in. I really don't think they would have. And I think it does actually come down to the fact that they were so good last year that they were able to be ranked. If it's the first time G5, we've seen the hesitation the committee has of putting those G5 schools up there. The only schools that get that real respect, it's BYU because their schedules as an independent and they do play a lot of P5 teams along the way. That's the only team I can think of, and maybe a Boise State, but Boise State has built up clout throughout the years. And so Cincinnati building up in the last couple of years, getting to this point, I think it's a culmination of both years that they've had. And a group of 5 team is in. Obviously, it's important. I don't know what's going to happen with the college football playoff, but there's all kinds of rumors, and there's also just too much money at stake for them not to expand this thing. But Cincinnati really just hammering the last couple teams they had to. The SMU game was huge. Everybody was looking at that game saying this might be the game right here. They go in that game and they absolutely curb stomp SMU. And then they have that ECU game, which I thought was tricky. That was a tricky one, right? On the road on a Friday against a decent ECU team. It wasn't always pretty. They got the job done there somewhat, by double digits. And then this Houston game, they took control in that third quarter. And Luke Fickell made a point of saying, if we play like that in the third quarter, it's going to be pretty hard to beat us. It's going to be really hard to beat us. He thinks that they can hang with anybody when they play like that, and I agree. So that's how we got to where we are. We're going to have more breakdown, obviously Big 12 championship breakdown, and a look at all of the bowl games as well. But your Final Four is set. It is Georgia and Michigan as the 2 and 3. I'm not sure I'm going out of order here. Alabama's your 1, Michigan 2, Georgia 3, and Cincinnati is your 4. Committee gets it right. We talk all about the entire season, about this team, in front of this team, whatever. It kind of all worked out in the wash this year. It's fun to talk about. It's fun banter, but it all worked out in the wash. So your Final 4 is set. One more look at it right here. And before we go, quick word from our sponsors here. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Boost Mobile, new sponsor here for the Locked On Big 12 podcast. You listen to podcasts for the power of knowledge. You switch to Boost Mobile for the power of saving money. Because with Boost, you get the power of free 5G phones. So you can listen to all the latest episodes of Locked On Big 12 podcast. The power of 3 unlimited data lines for just $30 a month per line. So for your family can harness all that brain power as well, and the power of one of America's largest 5G networks, so you can do it all at the speed of 5G. So right now, switch to Boost Mobile so you can find out about all of this. Get a free Samsung Galaxy A32 5G when you switch to one of America's largest 5G networks. More power to save. Boost Mobile. Free phone limited to new customers, 1 per line. Additional restrictions apply. Offers and coverage not available everywhere for all phones and networks. See boostmobile.com for more details. Today's show is also brought to you by Prize Picks as the best place to play daily fantasy, especially for college sports. They've got overs and unders on yards, touchdowns, all those kinds of things for all the games, especially the bowl games coming up here soon. You can download it in most states. Go to the Prize Picks app today. You can find it in the App Store, download it, use that promo code Locked On, LOCKEDON Locked On, and you'll receive a 100% deposit match up to $100 upon your first deposit. Once again, go to Prize Picks, download the app, use that promo code Locked On, LOCKEDON Locked On for that discount at Prize Picks today. All right, make sure you follow us on Twitter at LOBig12. You can follow me at Josh Neighbors _. More videos coming this week as well. Till next time, my friends, as